Hey, it's August 12th, 2012, and you're watching Mods on Air.
2 FPS, 3 RPGs, and 5 sim-type games.
Yeah.
I think you'd be able to come up with one here.
I'm actually pulling this one hard.
Ask all the people that need hacks to play Call of Duty. I can hear you groaning inwardly every time Sin's mentioned. You're just cringing.
Welcome everybody to episode 344 of Mods on Air, bringing you the week in gaming news as modders, developers, and we sometimes play games too. I am Foyleman, and also on the show we have with us Welshy. How you doing today, Welshy?
Hello.
Hello, and we also have Stryder with us. Hello, Stryder.
Hola.
Hola. And we also have Ham with us, back from Texas. How you doing, Ham?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Yeah. So anyway, before we begin, let me remind you all that this show was recorded before a live audience of which you may be a part. You can listen in and message about the topics as we discuss them. Short version. Don't click links. They're bad for you. Adult themes. Bad language. Enjoy. Okay.
Blah, blah, blah. Long version at the end.
Yeah.
See terms and conditions for details.
Certain conditions apply.
Again, I'm going to apologize for last week's crappy episode because the audio was just awful, and hopefully this one's going to be doing much better for you. No promises, no guarantees. No, the episode was actually pretty good. Yeah, but you know what? We have a lot to talk about. I found a bunch of topics to talk about, and also I definitely want to get at least a little bit of a wrap-up here from Ham, who was over at Quakecon we just got back last week, yeah.
Yes,
among
indeed.
other things. Yeah, so I don't know where to. You know what? Maybe we should just start talking about that right off the bat, and get an idea of what kind of stuff you saw, and let's start drilling them and finding out what you learned.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start with the keynote. It was probably the longest keynote that's ever been done with Carmack. This is my 9th year at QuakeCon, so I've gone to a lot of these keynotes, and this one was about 4 hours long.
God.
This guy talked at length about sort of all the trials and errors when it comes to the virtual reality bit that he's working on, and there was a lot of Q&A as well. But he started off with what to me was really unexpected. It was an apology for Rage on PC. He pretty much said, I'm sorry for all the driver issues that happened. I'm sorry for the low resolution textures. I'm sorry that we delivered a product that really people had higher expectations for it and it wasn't delivered on. And that was really nice to hear, because as I'm kind of sitting in the audience writing down my questions for the Q&A, like he's just answering them one off the bat. And one of the first things I wrote down was like, what about all the criticisms? What about the low res textures, the static environments, and the lighting and stuff like that? And he sort of addressed all that at length, really. And
in 4 hours, sure.
Yeah, for 4 hours. So it was really good. Now, unfortunately, because he was answering all these questions that I had written down throughout the keynote, I was sort of struggling to come up with questions at the end, and I wanted to wait to be the last person to ask questions just in case he'd answer something. And the guy who went just before me to ask questions, he cut off the answering of questions right at that guy, so I was kind of pissed off. But there were some really simple questions that I didn't hear answered. Stuff like, there's like a DLC option in the Rage menu? Where's the DLC? Where's the 64-bit version that was promised like only a few months after Rage was supposed to be delivered, with the editing tools and things like that. Let's see. Just kind of what's happening next with Quake.
There's something happening with Quake, and we're not talking about the engine. We're talking about the game.
Yeah, the IP. There's supposed to be something happening with it, but that wasn't answered, wasn't gotten into.
Oh.
And yeah, so for the most part, I can't find these questions now that I was going to ask. But there was just a lot of sort of rather simple stuff that I wanted to know. Here we are. Is there so Doom 4 is next, and he talked about Doom 4, and he just pretty much said that it's not going to do anything innovative. He's in a manner of speaking. He said pretty much Doom 4 is going to be what you expect from Doom. It's going to be sort of really straightforward. It's just going to try to have like a nice punch to it, I think is the word he used. Just he wants it to feel good, but it's not going to do anything special. And one of the questions I had was like, well, I hope it does something just a little bit more special because, like he admitted, the environments in Rage were really really static, and I'd hate to see that again for Doom 4. So I hope there's some engine updates, but I never did get a chance to ask that.
Well, actually, they were more dynamic. The levels in Rage were more dynamic than any other previous game that they did, right?
Yeah.
Dynamic?
And it wasn't as much of a corridor shooter as Doom and the Quake series
that's what I mean.
led to.
That's what I mean. The opposite of static.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then last year he mentioned something about how ITSEC 5 would not be licensed, so it's only going to be used internally with the ZeniMax Studios. So beyond Doom 4, what next? Is anything planned to use ITSEC 5?
Wow,
you don't know.
Really scary.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I wanted answered. But
well, that's scary because it is kind of like the mother of all modding engines. The engine that they were using for Quake 1. I mean, that's Half-Life 1 came out of that. A number of other games came out of that. I think the FPS genre and the gaming that we do today on the PC came out of that. And so now what they're talking about is reining it in and not doing anything more. Not allowing the community, not allowing the public to experiment and create these new kind of things based off of their own game. I guess the new norm is license the game.
Right, and the lack of mod tools, you definitely can't do anything with it. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask. I was like, all right, well, so what's your views on mod tools now? Like, does UDK and the free CryEngine and Unity, do those things make it obsolete now? Like, is it just not worth it to include it? But I didn't get to ask one of those things. But a nice segue would be there was a panel titled id Modding Celebration, and this was a panel with about 3 or 4 people, I believe, and they were all about indie development, modding, and kind of just what's next, what's happened, and just where we are now. Mm-hmm. And well, unfortunately, I don't remember everybody's name. I should have written that stuff down. I was like too far gone, but
that's journalism. We don't do that on the show. Who invited this guy?
I got a press pass. I can go anywhere. These guys, they were talking about. It was almost as if they were addressing people who want to get into the game industry, who want to know where to start. And these guys, they were all saying that pretty much modding is still a viable option, but you do have these problems where it's like, well, there are no mod tools. There just none.
Yep.
And so one of the guys on the panel actually actively still mods Doom 2, and he kind of just talked about some of the working with limitations and how that can sort of creatively free you in a sense.
It's really old. Of course, there's limitations.
Yeah, see, that's the problem I have with that. It's like, it's fine to be still modding like the original Call of Duty. That's awesome. It shows that the game's still got something to it. But at the same time, it's like you're modding a game that's like 7 years old.
Yeah.
You're not learning the new technologies, the new ways to do things. It's just kind of like.
Which is one of the things. So they pretty much all agreed on if you want to make some portfolio pieces, you're going to have to use some mod tools that are available to you for a bit more modern games. And of course, if you really want to go out of your way, you can make a mod from UDK or Unity or something like that. Surprisingly enough,
you say go out of your way. And this is one of the things that we've been bringing up over at least the past year, saying that, you know what, it might be coming to an end. The idea of modding an existing game. What won't come to the end is probably somebody releasing higher end graphics for every game that's out there. But
right.
since it's so easy for you to go out there and check out a game engine, such as the Valve's grab Valve's hammer and the Source SDK, or go out there and get the Unreal UDK. Go out there and get some other game engine, be it Unity, be it id Software's. You can get some of the older SDKs. It's coming to the point that you can now just build your own game, and there is very little difference between doing that and making a mod, because you can go ahead and make your own game level and then recompile everything. There's a few extra steps, obviously, and come out with your whole thing.
Very true. Well, what were you gonna say?
You don't have to look at game engines that are 7 and 8 and 9 years old. Unreal 3 has released their SDK, and it's free to use and free to you can, as long as you don't make money off of it. And the second you've got something working, then you go and license it. The same with the new Crytek 3 engine. You can download that engine and the mod tools for it, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the Crytek 3 engine, the CryEngine 3 it's fantastically beautiful.
Yeah,
it is. So you don't have to look at Quake 1 engine or the id Tech 2 engine or id Tech 3 engines. You can move beyond that. It is disturbing that it is looking at it saying, you know what, we're not going to throw it anymore on this lost leader. Is what it sounds like they're saying, that they're saying that their engine is now a lost leader and they're going to use it internally. To me, that says you guys are just you're letting somebody else step up to the plate.
Yeah,
what it is.
They are, and I think at this point throughout the keynote, especially towards the end, John he pretty much sort of in a very sly way admitted that. He said, look, graphically, things are going to progress no matter what. It can be incrementally. I can't say that word. You know what I mean? Incrementally. And there we go. And that's going to grow either that way, or there may be some breakthrough. There may be a leap and bound. But for the most part, it's going to progress no matter what. So he's more concerned with reducing latency between the amount of time it takes for you to actually press a button and it registers, and he's all about at this point making things fast, and that seems to be his new goal, not necessarily having the next graphical leap. He truly believes that we're at a point where anything that can be imagined at this point can with be at a level good enough where you can sort of visualize it, anything. And I wrote that down somewhere, but he pretty much said, like, at this point we can do anything good enough. So he's not concerned with graphics as much anymore, which was a little bit hard.
That's been id's John Carmack's. That's been his niche ever since Quake and Doom. It was not visually. It didn't immerse you, but it immersed you because it was so fast, and because it was always happening. There was no downtime. It was always go. It was pixelated monsters and that were coming at you fast, and then they got some more textures and now you had more detailed monsters that were coming at you fast. Was it something that you could say, wow, look at that? You can actually see the veins of those leaves on those trees. No, it wasn't. Never with the id engine.
Yeah.
But man, was it fast.
And I think it's just part of the reason that Quake 3 and Quake Live, I think, is still so, to me, addicting. Just how well it performs.
Well, yeah, you can jump in and it's going to be fast. You don't have to run or hop in a vehicle and drive for 20 minutes to get to to the action of the game.
Yeah.
To get shot and have to spawn back at base where you have to drive 20 minutes to get back to the action.
Let me go down these bullet points really quick.
Battlefield.
Everything for all 4 hours of this. I just wrote down some quick things.
We don't have 4 hours. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So just really quick, I'll skip around. He basically said that he's still happy with the moment-to-moment gameplay of Rage. He thought the action was good, and I think I generally agree with that, and I think a lot of people generally agree with the action was good. Moment-to-moment it was. Overall, though, it left stuff to be desired. He wasn't happy that there was no checkpoints. He totally admitted there was a bad ending for the game. I haven't beaten it yet. I don't know, but I think I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, no, he's telling the truth.
He apologizes for all the PC issues. He does admit that it's just better to develop for consoles when it comes to just making games, because things happen and there's no variability in the platform, and things will just work. Whereas you can get great things to the PC, but there's too many unexpected issues. So he actually enjoys work.
Hang on a sec, because that's directly opposite to a quote that he had put out, that developing for consoles was a mistake.
This is what I wrote down. Console development has advantages. PC is better when it works. Is pretty much the summary of what he said.
Because that was a couple game, well, quite a few episodes ago, but he had come out and said about Rage that it was a mistake for them to develop for the console, because it limited what they could do and it spread them too thin.
I think there's a general agreement there too. He actually, in a very subtle way, addressed why the resolutions were so. A lot of people expected higher resolution textures. For the most part, they work in Rage, but he pretty much said later on that it was a variability thing, where he didn't want to have an object be on a low texture surface and then have a highly detailed object sitting on that low texture surface. So a table that looks really washy and then an object sitting on that table that looks really detailed. It's better, he said.
Exactly what happened in Rage on the PC version.
But he says it was they did some things so that there was a base level of resolution that was applied across everything, so that you wouldn't have these really weird artifacts where you've got extreme detail next to something that's like not detailed at all. And so that's why things, for the most part, just kind of consistently a little wishy-washy in terms of the textures. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly enough, he says Doom 3 actually can barely get 60 frames per second. Despite being an 8-year-old game, it can barely get 60 frames per second on the Xbox and the PlayStation. And he says this is probably due to some bad optimization on the back end.
How old are the consoles? Aren't they 8 years old?
But
about as old as so why would it
cutting edge when the consoles were released? So it really pushes their hardware.
You know what the worst thing is when they put out the BFG edition, there's going to be quite a lot of people like, Doom? I've never heard of this before.
So, surprisingly enough, something that I don't think has been talked about is that Doom 3 is actually using a lot of the id Tech 5 source code. Like, they've gone back in and optimized a few things using id Tech 5 to get a better frame rate. And it's got some better lighting going on, so things aren't as harsh. And I got to say, there were a few things that stole the show for me. And surprisingly, Doom 3 BFG edition was one of the things that really stole the show for me. To see that game, an 8-year-old game, updated with just some slightly better lighting and running locked at 120 frames per second will blow your mind. No doubt about it. It will blow your mind to see this game running at 120 frames per second. It's something that you don't expect, but when you look at it, you're like, God damn, that looks really good. Unbelievable. I can't wait to play it at 120 frames per second. Forget the 3D, even though that's really cool too.
On a phone.
But when you play it, you'll lose it.
I'm trying to find out what the cost of this thing is going to be.
It's not 50. I think it's like $30.
It's not the limited edition, right? No, that's something else. Okay, it's like $30. See, $30 for a game that's already out there with a few enhancements and an extra level. Who's going to benefit from that right now? Is there anybody that's going to benefit? Using the systems that they already have in place, does everybody have to upgrade? Does everybody have to start getting 3D monitors in order to see this as well as you did? Because obviously 3D monitors are the only ones that might be able to handle true 120 frames per second? Or am I off base on that?
No, you're not at all. You're going to need a monitor that's probably 3D capable monitor. I can't talk today. Or maybe CRT monitor, but because that's the only way you're going to get 120 frames per second, or 120 hertz locked there. Is based on what I saw and played, is it worth it? I'd almost argue that it is. It comes with every Doom game, which is okay, whatever. But the show is really Doom 3. The Lost Mission content is going to add about 3 to 4 hours worth of gameplay, and I think it's worth playing through if you have the hardware. So it's one of those things where it's like if you want to get some new hardware and you want to justify that purchase, Doom 3 BFG Edition is going to really justify it just playing it.
All right, two points then I want to ask about that specifically. One, a gamer wants to know what computer that they were using to play this, if you happen to know. And number two is this really, maybe even I'm segueing for you, is this his jump into, say, the Oculus that we talked about last week, the new head-mounted display? Ham?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh.
Hi, Ham.
Is he still borrowing that neighbor's internet?
He's like, no more questions. No more questions.
Yeah, it's either him or it's Carmack stole the feed.
Yeah.
All right,
he's
so
like, you're not allowed to talk about this. Carmack taps in, shuts off his feed.
Now, most likely, Gamer, what they were using was probably a homemade PC of some sort that has multiple cores, but definitely they were going to be using NVIDIA because its software is all about NVIDIA hardware, if you've ever seen any of this stuff that goes on. I wish I could get rid of that window that says there's a problem with the call. There we go.
I am sorry about that.
Ah, that's cool.
Here comes Ham to save the day.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to hear what I was asking?
Yeah. What kind of computer was it running on?
That and whether or not, if I'm already segueing for you, if this is his foray into the Oculus, which the head-mounted display that we were talking about last week.
Yeah, it's both. So the computer it was running on would not be disclosed, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I was told that it was running on some amazing hardware, but it wouldn't require that though to get not on modern hardware to get 120 frames per second. But I wasn't told exactly what it was running. But it was just all I knew was that it was running on some really amazing stuff.
It's running on a video player. Yeah.
As far as
running on a Blu-ray DVD player.
Oh, okay, go on, Am.
Well, as far as the Oculus, so he spent the majority of the time talking about how like the whole trial and error of getting it working, but he was convinced that he was truly the technology had arrived at a point where it's now good enough to be cool. And based on my experience, I would totally agree. But
wait, what would be cool? What would be cool?
The VR.
Cool. The idea of using VR or the idea of wearing this head-mounted thing and walking into stuff.
Well, the idea that it finally meets what we saw back in the early 90s and 80s of what VR should be, stepping into a virtual world. And truly, you do feel like you're in a virtual world. I got a chance to play a bit of Rage on it. It necessarily wasn't Rage, but it was a room that was set up that Carmack was using to do some tests, and the room was actually had a lot higher resolution textures than all of Rage because it was just one room, and so the texture budget was I suppose better, or I don't know, something could happen so that things look just visually a bit better, and looking around this room, being able to actually spin your head around and look and everything moves perfectly with you. It's mind blowing. With the controls the way they were, you could actually, it was sort of a floating camera, so you could float and you could go a bit higher up in the air, and so you're sort of moving the camera up in the air, and you look downwards, and it's almost dizzying. Like the guy told me, he's like, "Whoa, don't fall over," because it was you really believe it. You look around, and that field of vision just captures everything. So it's like you're stepping inside of a different world.
Cool. That excites me. Good.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I looked at people playing Doom, but there was a cutoff for the line. The guy John or Palmer, he told me I could stay in the line, but I felt like I was kind of causing a nuisance because people kept kind of getting in line when he said like this is the cutoff point. So I didn't play it, but I saw people playing it, and I asked some people how it was, and they thought it was absolutely great. The resolution, I'm told, is lower on that because it's not two separate displays for each eye.
No, it's
or
one
separate.
One big one, right?
Yep, one big one.
I thought the display was maybe 1280, or maybe 1024. But okay, we'll find out what it is later on.
Yeah. So people said it was amazing though. The Rage display I believe was a higher resolution, and it looked excellent. And one thing he told me sort of off the cuff was that he's got better prototypes already. Like things are much better than what he was showing, but part of it is a one step at a time process. Part of it is we can't sort of reveal all the secrets at once. But he's already working with something much better, he says. He wouldn't sort of go into detail about what it was, but just everything was sort of one up, the display, the response time, things like that. Mm-hmm. And that was amazing to hear, because even what I had was, or what I experienced was mind blowing. And I know I'm sort of building this up, and I was trying to sort of quell myself when I was standing there waiting for my turn, and I was like, okay, this is not going to be as great as people are saying. It's let me not hype it up that much. And then when I actually experienced it, I'm like, oh my god, this is it. this is what's next. People aren't fans of buying new pieces of hardware, though. I mean, look at when those I forgot what they would call it. It was like a physics processing unit, like a PPU, when those first came out. Yeah, PhysX. Nobody was going to buy that. Like hardly anybody was going to buy a piece of hardware just for physics. So I don't think people are going to jump into it right away, but it's going to make a compelling reason.
In the idea of that, the product didn't last very long, and then NVIDIA comes along and buys them out and integrates it into their video cards. This is something that can't necessarily be integrated into an existing monitor. You're going to have to go out and buy it if you want to play with it. So that could very much so limit people, unless they also turn around and make this a console product. That could change things.
That could happen. I suppose the games need support for it. Right now, the only thing that actually works is Doom 3. I asked him if there were a few other people on board with it, and he kind of went down the list. Yeah, Unity is a big one. Epic, is another one. So you can he says that it should get to a point where you can just sort of check mark a box, and that'll add support for it, and all of a sudden, most of the work is done for you. And but it's still going to be up to developers to sort of implement it. He says that the company, they don't make games; they make the technology to allow people to make games. So he doesn't know what the perfect solution is going to be, but once people get their hands on it, it's going to be up to them to make that, and he's got confidence that people are going to make something really compelling. Doom 3 BFG edition is already convincing enough that I think once if the price is right, which supposedly it is, he's like doing a lot of research to get good prices and a good experience. It's going to be worth it. I truly believe it. All right, I don't want to take up.
Nope. What else you got?
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. Go through the things here.
The big notebook.
Yeah. All these things. Sorry. Let's see. Okay. So back to the modding bit. With those guys, the modding panel, they pretty much say that it's almost that reasonable advice that a lot of people tend to ignore. One of those things where it's like, if you're going to make a mod or you want to make a game, then don't try to compete with AAA developers. Just don't. These people have millions of dollars in resources. They've got hundreds of people on their teams, and they've got years worth of time to develop stuff. You, as a solo developer or part of a small team, may not have that. Obviously, you just don't have that. You don't have millions of dollars. So it's the strong advice was to create something small, constantly narrow your scope if you think it's going to take too long, because things always take longer than you expect them to.
Yes.
And so narrow your scope to the core idea. Strip away things if you have to, but narrow down something that's fun, that's interesting. A lot of times, if you go for something that's weird versus something that's brown and gray and gritty, like everything else that a lot of AAA developers are trying to make, you're going to stand out and you're going to make something that people want to play. Another thing is that, and I thought this was advice that people really needed to hear. When you go to these websites where you have these mods that are in development and they've got all these weapon renders and character models and things like that, the reality is people don't care. Gamers do not care. They want to play something. And so you've got these sites filled with these fail mod projects that never really produce anything that's playable, but they've got tons of weapon renders and level renders and concept art and stuff like that. And it's just like, nobody cares. Make something that's fun to play. Make something that's small if you have to, and it's really advised. Make something small, and make something that you can finish. Because if you're gonna try to be a professional or in the industry, or you want to work in the industry, people are going to want to see something that's already implemented into a game.
I disagree with that slightly because Kickstarter is proof that that's not true.
That it has, but
I agree with you. I just that you should make. There should be no reason that you're just putting up screenshots and nobody ever actually plays anything.
Yeah.
But Kickstarter is clearly proof that is not the case. Because people are sinking millions of dollars into things that they're looking at screenshots for, drawn on a napkin.
Yeah, and Kickstarter, it sells the idea that one day you're going to get to play this. And I guess if Kickstarter was around a long time ago, maybe a lot of these mods would have gotten completed because they had the money to complete them.
Well, that's a whole other conversation, but I don't. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to go into it. Yes.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these successfully funded Kickstarter projects deliver on the project, or deliver with the expectations that were set in place. We're going to see, but I don't know. Right now, there's a lot of people with a lot of money now, and not a lot of shipped products.
I expect there's going to be a lot of people that are just like, well, I paid for this.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I think we can move on.
Okay, then one last thing. Tell us about the vibe and the feel, and a quick idea of how the conference was in general to you as a goer.
Okay, as I'm gonna, it pains me to say this. Truly pains me. Like, brings a tear to my eye. I mean, it. I'm not gonna lie. It sort of did when I was leaving. This has been, of all my years at Quakecon, this has been the worst of the Quakecons, and the worst. I've got to say it, and that's with me having sort of the press badge access to the lunch.
Get the press badge, and he turns into a critic. Look at him.
I'm going to say, like, even with the included the extra access, it's been the worst, and the reason being is because this is the second year that QuakeCon has become almost a sort of premium event versus a free event that's open to people. And it almost coincided with the purchase of id Software by ZeniMax. Last year saw the introduction of what they call QuakeCon Done Quick, and I think in like the BYOC reserve seat. So just for people that don't know, in the past, you bring your computer, you wait in line. And it's sort of first come, first serve. There's a limited amount of seats. There's about maybe 3,000 seats in this big ballroom type of thing. And you stand in line, you bring your computer, and that's it. Last year, they introduced this thing where it's like, hey, optional, if you want to, you can pay some money, pay $50. You don't have to stand in line. We'll give you some T-shirts too, but there'll be a small line just for you. You can get to panels and events rather quickly, and all you have to do is pay $50. The other people who don't pay, they still get the same experience. Right, so it's like, okay, that's reasonable, that's fine, and it intended to work. This year, somehow they screwed up something. I guess they're always trying to change stuff around to optimize stuff, and the line experience was horrible. There was a person, quite literally, and this was an article I never did get around to writing, but I asked him. I had seen him the day before when I arrived, and he was at the front of the line, and when the conference had started, he was still in line. He was still at the front of the line, and I managed to be able to get my stuff into the computer area, the LAN area, because I reserved a seat. I paid $30. I reserved a seat, and it turned out that people who hadn't paid were not allowed to get in. That's just never been the case. So this guy had been waiting in line over 24 hours. He had been in line since 10 a.m. yesterday, is what he told me, and he still hadn't got in at the front of the line. And they were, I was walking into the conference area. There were people with blankets in line, sleeping, holding their computers. This is the first I've ever seen that. Like there's been some times where it's been 2 a.m. and people are just sort of getting their computers in there, and that's for me, that was part of the QuakeCon experience. You make friends in line, you get to see people's computers, all sorts of really cool contraptions. They hand out T-shirts and things like that in line. All that stuff seems to be gone, and now it's just like, well, if you didn't pay, you pretty much you're at the back of the line, even if you're at the front of the line. Was kind of the message. I wasn't digging it. No. The other problem is that for the second year in a row, what they've done is instead of being this big LAN where you've got thousands of people on the same network, and you can start up a game and see how many LAN matches are running of any particular game. That's gone. What happens is there's whatever row you're on, that's the LAN for that row.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's like 200 sort of mini LANs, and there's some guys who I sort of sit with every year, and this year I had to sort of sit on an opposite row from them, so I could like look directly behind my monitor or my case and see my friend right across from me, right in front of me in this case, and they started up a game, and they're like, "Hey, join," and I'm trying to join. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see the game, and it's because the way the network was architected, it's like it's per row. So even the person sitting next to me or right across from me, I can't join this game. And that's the second year it's happened like this. The first year last year didn't bother me as much because I was sitting literally in the same row as them. But this year, I couldn't do it. And so there were a few games where people had to start up an internet game where anybody could join, and then people from the LAN could do that, could play it that way. The only exception was Quake Live. There's a certain URL you have to go to, and that would take you to a server browser for Quake Live where you can play with anybody anywhere in the LAN area. But any other game, you had to join an internet game that somebody started. And you could tell which ones those were because they had like 0 ping or something, or like 2 ping. But yeah, it was a little saddening. That had never occurred before. So the vibe of the event was like it kind of sold out. It's become this event that's kind of sold out. Hopefully it doesn't repeat itself next year. Hopefully they get back to sort of the root of what it was, because the event truly is part of my life. Plan my entire year is sort of almost planned around it. Is it still worth going? Definitely still worth going for just the experience.
Yeah.
As compared to every other year I've gone, though, this was the worst. But
I hope you get to go to PAX to get a comparison. I'd like the comparison view, even though it seems like you're also going for the experience of playing games with people, and PAX really isn't about the LAN party. It's quite the conference of genres, of games, of cosplay, of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. There was some cosplay there, but it's not the kind you would.
The Quake cosplay, yeah.
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 Weird.
It's like 12 pixels and really blocky, and
yeah. There's a lot of people dressed up as John Carmack.
It's
John
just
Carmack's like dressed up as John Carmack.
Oh yeah. All right, let's talk about is that it? Is that your wrap up then?
I'll look at some more stuff to bring towards the end, because these notes are actually kind of everywhere.
Okay. All right, awesome. Ham, thank you so much for bringing us this information too. It really opens up. It lets us see or hear more about what was actually going on and get us a different perspective than just reading these articles that are posted here and there. You really don't get a sense of what it was like.
Oh, well, there will be more comprehensive coverage possibly later on.
All right, so let's see. Let's see if we can talk about some other stuff that was in the news this week, and let's see if we can make it as confusing as possible for the other co-hosts here in the show with us. Bye, Ham. You didn't have to leave. Or is that your video starting up?
Screw you. I'm going.
That's it. It's over. I didn't realize that the video wasn't going.
All right, I'm gonna bring up this. Oh, that's the wrong week. I'm gonna bring up this first one just because it's a completely ridiculous peripheral. Thermaltake is coming up with an idea of a mouse. If you look at the picture I have up here, it is a mouse with a fan attachment to keep your hand cool. Yeah, it's only going to cost
one thing, one appendage I've got that gets really sweaty. It's my hand.
Yeah, well, here it is. $80 is all it'll cost you. The fan runs at 6,000 RPM because you need to know those kind of statistics before you purchase.
6,000 RPM? How loud that's going to be.
The mouse is. You're going to have to fight to keep that mouse from taking off.
It's going to be like a hovercraft. Just going around. Jesus.
Yeah, I think they've come out with a number of different things like this. They even had a mouse, not Thermaltake, but had a mouse that had like a whole bunch of holes in it that would like blow air up into your hand. I don't know what happened to that. Probably failed just like this one.
Yeah.
Silly.
If you're like me and you've got like loads of stuff all over your desk as well, it's gonna like I've got quite a bit of paperwork and whatever. It's just gonna blow that everywhere. Just blowing paper. It's just that's ridiculous.
All right,
it's going to give you the cool advantage.
Sure.
That's the tagline right there.
And it's also, that's exactly what you need, is something draining your power supply even further.
Yep, your USB power in this case, so hopefully you don't...
Yeah. And I guarantee you, somebody will end up with their finger in it.
Yeah, they don't show the other end of it. I wonder if there's like a little screen to stop your finger from poking through.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, all right. I'm going to skip over a couple of the these next ones so you guys know, and hit up on Crysis. Let's talk a little bit about since we saw that I didn't expect. There we go. Sorry, I thought that was a picture and not a video, but apparently it is a video. Okay. Crysis 3. Crysis 3 came out this week with a whole new. I don't know if it's whole new, but it is a new kind of tech demo to show you how beautiful things can be. And I did find this thing. And I watched it on my phone, and I was still impressed because I was out on the road when I found this. And they really go over some of the nice aspects of this video. Butterflies, obviously, because butterflies are so damn easy to model. That's why. And if you watch this video through and through, you'll see the ideas of what they're trying to implement inside of this game engine. Now, I don't know what it takes for you to actually play this back on your machine, whether or not you have to have physics and you have to have the latest video card in order to handle all the tessellation that's going on. But they have added a lot of stuff that I have not seen in Crysis before, which also has me confused. Why haven't I seen it in the Crysis game engine and tools that are out there that I could be playing?
Well, because I assume the Crysis games up to this point have all been tech demos.
Okay, Ham, that's loud. Okay.
Now they're actually going to possibly make up an actual proper game rather than just a tech demo.
Well, they're doing more than just a game. They're doing way more than that, and they're really trying to push the engine as far as not just game development, but as into more. Like, let's make movies, let's do more stuff, just like sort of like what Valve is doing at the same time. Except these guys have been trying to prep for it for a while. I don't know if this is going to be your game engine of choice to be doing that kind of stuff, but it is definitely something worth looking at. And what I'm referring to is not just this game engine, but something that's coming out called Cinebox, which Stryder and I came across. What's that?
Is that a Crytek product? The Cinebox?
Yeah, it is.
Yep, it's based on the CryEngine from Crytek. Absolutely. And actually, I have a video here. The volume's already down, so it shouldn't kill you guys. Showing off the game Warface, which is a new game that's supposed to be coming out. I have some information on that somewhere. Oh, no, I have it on Warframe. Not Warface.
My biggest beef with Crysis 3 is that it's not available on Steam.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It doesn't mean that your game can't be on Steam, because you have to go to Steam and find out how to get it out there. But there might be a reason why it's not on Steam.
It's because EA's douchebags.
Yeah.
They want you to use that
EA Link. Let's still
EA Link,
think
the
that's what it
computer
is.
vampire in Origin.
They're going to force you to use Origin and play it, and then claim about how Origin's increased in the user base dramatically.
Yeah, which they did. They did actually do that. It's like, well, yeah, because you made everyone use it to play Battlefield. That's why.
Now this looks really impressive.
What I watched this video a couple times. In fact, when I sent this to Foyleman, I was at work and I found this. I'm like, holy shit! You program your scene in once, and you can put multiple camera angles, and you can actually create a movie.
Yeah.
With one take through, and you get all your camera angles, and you can do like Hollywood. Yeah. It's quite an impressive add-on. Unfortunately, there was no mention of whether this is included with the SDK or if this is a multi-million-dollar add-on to the that's available for each. But I guess that's the feature.
I think with just maybe a few more small improvements, possibly even right now, this type of rendering technology, it really is going to push it to the point where a lot of people can make CG films. If done well enough. I mean, it takes more than just a video camera or tools to make the film, but the right creative minds can put something together. No, if you look on the Unreal Engine page, there's a few not programs, but television shows actually use the Unreal 3 engine. It's some children's television show that uses.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Lazy Town, isn't it?
Lazy Town, that's what it's called. Yeah. They actually use Unreal 3 engine.
Don't ask me how I know that.
It's already being used, and you got something like CryEngine 3. I'm really thinking it can be to the point where, with a few tweaks, you can get like, I don't know, something passable, not quite Pixar level, but something good enough where I'd watch it.
Yeah. And once you put the first one together, the rest can often fall into place. Because it's already all your assets are already there. You just move things around and change some scripts, and you got another show.
Yeah.
So one of the advantages though here with Crysis is I think this is what started the conversation between Stryder and I during the week. Is they have licensing for 20% of royalties. If you want to go out there and put a game out or something, and you want to start selling it to start making money, they only take 20%, where all these other engines are usually taking about 30%. And in some cases, all right, so Unreal and Crysis, you can grab it and 30%, and I don't think you have to throw down a dime until you start making too much money. Other engines, you do have to throw down some money, either ahead of time or if you do start making the sales. Yeah, it all depends on whether or not that's something that you want to afford. And look at these engines; they're gorgeous. Unreal and Crysis 3.
Absolutely.
Well, my argument with Stryder is if you were out there to be making a game and you had the choice between Crysis 3, which is gorgeous, beautiful environments, water, everything going on, effects, or Unreal, not as gorgeous with the effects and the environments, but much larger support base because of all the people already using the tools and all the stuff, all the code and everything that's already available to you, what would you choose?
I guess that depends on what you want it to do, though. Right? Are you gonna sit there and try and make something that's super easy because everybody else has already done it, or do you want something that's going to be cutting edge and everybody's going to say, "Wow, fucking that's the best I've seen." Mm-hmm. It might be a little bit more work, but I mean, it's something you're building. And if you in our case, the discussion we're saying is if you're going to be developing a game and we have to sit down and learn the coding for Unreal or Crysis because we don't know it. We have to learn the mapping for Unreal or Crysis because we don't know it. Why would you not just pick the one that's going to be more aesthetically pleasing in the end?
Well, my point is that because there's bigger support base. I think, to me, the support base, to be able to go out there and say, look, I'm trying to do this fairly complex thing. Has anybody come close or come near accomplishing it? And how did you do it? How did you do what you did to help me? And I think if you go out there and ask the question in the Unreal community, you're going to get 10 times the answers than you would if you went to the Crysis 3 community, just because there's more people in UDK.
But Crysis, with what I was reading on that, on the licensing pages and all that, Crysis, actually, the Crysis team itself, the Crytek team, is available. If you have questions about how to use their engine, because they want you to use their engine, they will answer.
They're pretty good at answering questions. And it's literally like, how did you make this? How did they do this? And it'll be literally the guy that did it when developing the game. And just like, what we did was
And that's awesome. I don't know if that makes up for less of a user base, because you've got people who are just doing all sorts of things, and you've got so many examples and resources to use. I feel like really you should start with the idea of what it is that you want to achieve. If you want something with these extremely large, just vast flowing landscapes, probably Crysis is better.
Whoa. Well, Crysis is better for vast landscapes? Now, suddenly I picture Welshy a few years ago at Eurogamer saying how every time he took a step, something popped up in front of him.
Well, no, but that was because it was on the Xbox.
But that also says something about these vast environments in Crysis, that they really can't be handled. Not in detail.
Yeah, but that's a limitation of the hardware, not of the engine.
Like
that could be just a poorly ported, we want it to play smoothly, and we know it's. I mean, we're talking about a game that wasn't released yet. That was still alpha, beta stages.
I think, from what I remember, it wasn't that bad in the release version.
Yeah.
I think both engines cater to slightly different things. It seems like they're both capable of doing equally great things, but there's often the focus was just really large environments, like extremely large environments with the CryEngine. UDK though, it seems like it can do just about anything, just given enough time and effort. So I don't know. Racing. If I were to say, for instance, make a racing game, I'd immediately probably see what the Crysis can offer me, because things like that just need really large environments. But if I'm making FPS, I might start with the idea that I'm going to look into UDK first, because there's so many examples and resources for making just about anything you want.
Yep. Okay. All right. Moving on to something else. I'm scanning here, trying to think. We have not a lot of time to keep going. You know what? I want to talk just a little bit about what Valve is doing here. Definitely. So, let's see. Do I want to mention that? You know what? Yeah. You know what? I'll jump over to this. The Matrix Remaked. There is a video on YouTube that I came across here called the Matrix Remaked, and what this is it's not just a version. It's not just a scene. Oops. From the Matrix redone in a game engine, but it's redone in using that Valve's. I think it's done using that Valve's movie
film editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason I say that is because if you skip through, which I'm doing here, you'll see that these guys are from Team Fortress 2. The agents are from Team. Just gives you another idea that you can be. If you already have a Steam installed or something, you could be making these kind of movies too. You don't have to go out and learn Crysis, Cinescape, even though or Cinebox, even though it is gorgeous compared to this. I mean, Half-Life is, this source engine is how old now? It's pretty old. I think we talked about that last week, how old that is, right?
Well, it's not. It's just Valve wants you to think it is.
Okay.
Well, no, if you play Portal 2, that is not the same engine they used for Half-Life.
True.
No, it is not. You were absolutely right. But I don't think they've... Yeah, I don't know what they've done. Okay, never mind. I can't argue.
They've added a load of stuff, but haven't put a release number on it, is basically what it is.
Right. But the original one came out in 2004. Okay? That's how long that came out. So, moving on from here is we find out that... Valve is not just going into and producing these movies. They're also trying to show off that they have a Linux version coming, And they're stating here, Valve is stating that the zombies and everything are faster in the Linux version. So, yeah, okay. So it doesn't matter that the zombies actually run faster, because if any of you have played on a Windows game and played in a certain situation, which I don't know how to reproduce it, with a snap of a finger, but sometimes all the zombies will like double in speed on you inside of the game if you're doing a co-op thing. And that's what I think that's what they're talking about here with the Valve, is that this thing is running smoother, running faster on Linux now that they got a Linux guy in there working on this thing. Who cares at this point that you can go out there and get Linux and then buy the Left 4 Dead 2, I guess it is, on Linux and start playing it, because it is kind of an old game, and not a lot of us go out there and buy Linux to play games, because what kind of games are there going to be? But it's showing that Valve can produce some things and push it over to Linux, and maybe we'll be seeing some more of that, especially, this is one of the points that I want to get over to, especially when they come over to, which I lost the image, Source 2, the next game engine, something, Welshy, that they're putting a number on.
Yeah, well, this is my point. It's like they already have this version, I think. If you look up like Portal 2, there's so much added to that in terms of like lighting and textures and animation particularly. It's pretty much they're already on the second version of it. They're just not putting a number to it yet.
Right. So you know what? It's just going to be an updated engine. At this point, it doesn't make any sense for us to speculate what they're doing. We'll just wait for the big list when it's released.
Yeah.
And a bunch of us will start fooling around with it and tell you what it can do. But Ham, I noticed what you put in the comments. By the way, people, you should be reading the comments every now and then. There's some good stuff in there. Throughout the entire show, actually, this week. It's not all just BS this time.
Tim, that's funny.
Tim Willits from Valve Software says, or hints, or kind of puts out there that Half-Life 3 might actually be in development. Well,
Tim Willits?
Yeah.
I'm just, because he works at id.
Does he? It says creative director from id Software, Tim Willits. Okay. Claims that Valve is working on Half-Life 3.
Okay.
I don't know why he's the one claiming it, but...
Yeah, that's weird.
Because he's jumping on the fucking bandwagon of this perpetual development scheme of Source. It's
So when we head over to PAX, we'll keep our eyes out and see who we can ask about what's going on with Half-Life 3. And
because Gabe Newell's going to be walking around there.
Oh, yeah.
Gabe does go to the conferences, actually. I've met him at E3. So he'll go. Usually he's not walking, though. He's sitting on a stool or something.
Riding one of those little scooters.
Yeah, little rascals around.
Yeah. Okay, so there is going. That's happening now. I have
one more about Steam.
Oh yeah, yes. That Steam is going above and beyond. They're going to not just branch off into other operating systems, but they're going to branch off into software, general software. Everyday software that you and I use, they're going to start branching off into that. And on one hand, it makes me nervous, and on the other hand, it makes me excited. So I don't know what to consider with this. What about you?
I like the fact that I can purchase, say, a title like I'm going to say Adobe Photoshop. I can purchase Adobe Photoshop, and I don't have to just install it on one computer now.
Right.
I can have it on my home computer. I can take it and install it on my laptop. I'm not going to be using more than one at a time, so I can use my laptop to run Adobe Photoshop when I'm on the road, or when I'm sitting at home, I can do the same thing. AutoCAD, I don't have to purchase multiple licenses of a $7,000 program.
Yeah.
So that I can actually do my job while I'm, going on holidays. If I need to, get a little bit of drafting done while I'm on the plane, I can take my laptop, Steam. Yep, there you go. This is a good one. That
and it's more than
aspect of it, I don't.
It's more than just the license, though. Everybody's excited. You know, you're mentioning about the licensing and that, but also, people, you got to remember, it's not just the ability to turn it on and use it, but it's also the ability to turn on your device and download it and use it. You don't have to go and find the disc and do that kind of stuff. But as Morphus is pointing out, it is very scary. Everything is in one place. What if something happens to Steam? What if somebody turns around and says, "Listen, we found your IP address in a list of websites where we thought things were being hacked, and we think that you might be part of that group. Whether or not you are, we don't care. Boom, you no longer have access to your account." What do you do for work that week when you try and solve the issue with it? That's scary.
It's a little dangerous. I don't know. We don't have any idea of any specific names of software that's going to be included yet, do we? We just know categories.
No. We don't know. No, we don't know. I mean, like Adobe's, there's a little bit of an argument going on. Well, not an argument yet, but going on in there. Would Adobe software, would they be doing that? Would they be interested in something like this? You know, you think of Adobe Photoshop, After Effects, Illustrator, you know, those kind of things, graphics and videos.
Just Adobe PDF Creator.
That,
you know, the actual
there, right?
where that allows you to create PDF documents, edit them, blah blah blah. Right. Adobe is notorious for their licensing, and they want you to have a license for every computer that you run their product on. Adobe is also very vigilant against piracy and people like that. And I don't blame them. Do I think that some of their products are overpriced? Most definitely. Do I think that most software developers or places that release software are overpricing? Most definitely. There's no fucking way that a drafting program is worth $7,000. But because it's the industry standard, you have to pay it.
All right, well, here's why I think Adobe might be on board. First of all, they have the whole thing that went on with Flash, where they couldn't get onto the iOS devices and that kind of stuff, and then they start fighting all these other companies that are moving over to HTML5. They don't want to see their products die out. What did they do in response to Flash going away? Well, obviously they can't keep pushing Flash on all these companies that don't want to have Flash on their systems. They want to move over to HTML5. So they say, listen, we need to get our product out there to more people. Let's start up some sort of subscription service where people can just grab it online and subscribe monthly or something and use our products that way. Then they can license the products and always have an updated version. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to expand. They're trying to grow. And this is another tool for them to grow. I could see them coming on board and saying, hey, you know what? Sure. You know what? You can license it and use it on your other computer. You can only use it on one computer at a time. There's no way you can open it up on multiple computers at the same time. That would solve some of the licensing issues. But their name would keep growing. And that's something I think they are afraid of, getting locked out, just like they did with Flash.
It's a good point. It instantly gives your product to millions of potential customers. Mm-hmm. Not that it wasn't before, but now it's on a platform that people actively use. And you've got DRM solutions like that where you can make it so people can only use it one computer at a time.
There's also one other thing though that you haven't thought of is, are they definitely talking about these kind of software products, or are they talking about people making apps for the Steam store?
Yeah. And see, that's what I was just going to say. Are they actually talking about productivity software that in the aspect that we are, like, we're looking at it, based on our professions or based on our interests, modeling programs or art programs or things like that? Or are they just talking, here's a calculator app you can use? Mm-hmm. and that also begs a question. So they start releasing Adobe products. They start releasing, say, Maya products and Autodesk products and things like that. And some dumbass has got a $7,000 drafting program and decides that he's going to try cheating on a Steam game. All of a sudden, you lose more than just your game library.
Yeah.
Get the Steam Hammer ban comes down. And,
yep.
Sorry, you're not working or playing.
That's right. You're screwed. You've got nothing to do that day but go outside.
Yeah. Sorry, you're fucked. That's just the email that they should send out when Steam does their ban. Yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Do you guys want to talk about any of these other topics since we're running kind of late here?
Oh, yes. Wait.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, don't go anywhere.
Yeah. These other ones listed?
Yep. Well, any topic, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still not sold on Black Ops 2. The one thing I did play was Dishonored, and
oh yeah.
The reason it's in the back of my mind is because I did not like it.
Oh. Okay.
But I felt like I shouldn't even like mention it or write anything on it because I knew going in that I wasn't going to give it any really. I wasn't going to give it a fair chance. And
0 stars out of 0 before you even started.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it was. I haven't been interested in it. I know it appeals to people who like Thief, which I own them, but I've never played them. But I know
Thief's got a lot of enemies you just made now because they're all the haters. Send your hate email to Ham at.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the cult following of Thief, that people love it. But just based on description alone, it wasn't something I was going to be into. Whoa, get out of my way, kitty. Okay. They only had it available for Xbox there, and it has some really, really muddy textures.
Okay.
That's just being real. It's really bad looking. And then there was just a lot of stuff going on that I didn't know. I didn't quite know what was going on. I got to look through some keyholes. I entered a room, and some guy who was turned around somehow magically knew I was there, and I'm not sure if he killed me or not, but something happened. I think there was at least 2 times where I didn't get killed, but it was like, you were found out, so the mission's over. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, peeping hand. Thanks, Morphus. Oh, yeah.
So it looks like there was a lot of people that were actually enjoying it, though. I got to say, my hands-on time with it did not convince me.
Yeah. Okay.
That's nice, though. Nice to be able to play it. That and I think you all covered Rise of the Triad last week.
We tried to talk about it last week. Yeah.
I attended the little panel on that, and there were a few guys there. It's an international team working on it. I think they worked on previously. They worked on Duke Nukem Reloaded, which I never did play. I think that was just a console game. And if the game has nothing else going for it, I'd say that the team members that were there were really dedicated. They were extremely excited about working on this game, and they were just really pumped up. And I played the multiplayer. It was nice. It was very Quake-ish, which is not bad at all to me. They're going for an old school feel, old school with new graphics. So the Unreal Engine is going to be out between late this year and early next year, and it's $15. That's as much as I gathered.
I'm playing some video of it while you're talking about it. Yeah.
I think it looks. This is really important. It's going to be a Steam Workshop title, so it's going to have out the box modding support, and they're saying that they're absolutely making sure that it's going to be moddable, just day one, and that's really important to them.
Okay. Okay. There's one other one that I wanted to bring up before we close things up here too. I wanted to point out because I've been finding these things funny, and I found another. Am I in the right? No, I'm in the wrong folder. I've been finding some of these reviews that Conan O'Brien has been doing kind of funny. So I got another one for you guys. This one, I don't know how old it is. It might be pretty recent because it was just recently posted when I found it. But here's Conan O'Brien's review of Minecraft for the Xbox. And I thought there was good points in there.
You know, we've been doing something lately. I've been playing and reviewing popular video games as a service for our viewers. For my latest review, we had our fans pick the game. We asked them, what do you want me to review? Well, most of the fans unanimously said, you've got to tackle the super popular video game Minecraft. All right?
Yes.
I had not experienced Minecraft before. I sat down, got a little help, and here's my review. We asked you guys, what game do you want me to rate? And you said Minecraft. My friend Aaron Blair and I are going to play Minecraft. I don't play video games. I'm not kidding. I don't know anything about this. I know nothing about it. I thought this was one of those neck massagers from Brookstone.
This game is all about mining things and then building things.
Taking things out of the ground and then building things.
Correct, yes.
Right.
So
it's like we're in Wales in the 19th century and we're desperately poor. What a fun game for kids.
Every game starts in a randomly generated world, all right?
Yeah.
So you can walk around, we're like in a forest.
Yeah. And I'm going through some grass and there's a hole which I will avoid. There's a pig, I think. Is that a pig?
Yeah, that's a pig. Do you see me? There's me.
There's you. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, why am I wearing plaid pants?
This is the only guy with the orange hair, so we kind of made you...
So the guy with the orange hair
me,
wears stupid Madras boxer shorts. That's discriminatory. Look, even the sheep. The sheep just gave me a look. Like, what's with that guy? The black sheep keep checking me out. And the other guy that molested me last night. All right, so we've mined nothing.
It is like being in Wales.
We're going to get some wood, all right? So, follow me.
They put no effort into the graphics. This looks like a world if you have glaucoma. This should be called Glaucoma World. The pressure in your eyeball is too high. Your vision is so impaired you put on Madras shorts and you don't know it. That sheep is shaking my ass. Get out of here! Get out, sheep. Okay, let's chop something down. For God's sake, nothing's happened. We've grown poorer and older.
Oh, now you're digging into the ground.
Should I keep digging into the ground?
No.
You know, I fled Ireland to not do this.
At nighttime, monsters come out.
So, there are monsters?
Yeah, and they kill us.
So a monster's coming after you?
Yeah. Just run this way.
Wow, those are scary monsters. My 6-year-old could draw a better monster than that. What is this game?
That's a skeleton that shoots bows and arrows.
You know, that goes without saying.
Yeah. All right, then we're going to make a run for this house real quick.
Let's go, Blake.
All right,
let's go!
Get the house. Yep. All right, we're in the house.
We're in the house.
All right.
Okay, we got in the house. There's nothing more awkward than two guys cabin together. Look, we're just looking at each other and you're noticing my shorts. Kiss button?
Just gotta walk towards it.
Is there a admire button? Look longingly button? Is there a button where I say, once in college,
So, what would you rate this game?
This is not going to be nice. Minecraft, if I understand, is very popular?
Very popular, hugely popular.
So young people that really can't see well like this game. People who've never seen what a real house looks like and who like depressing climates. I'm still confused. I don't know what we accomplished. I don't know why the monsters were so good with bow and arrows. Confused about that. I mean, they're monsters. They should just rip your head off. Why do they have bows and arrows?
I have no idea.
Out of an 88 being pretty good, a 110 being excellent, a 150 being awful, a 3 being not bad, I would give this, I'm going to say a 26C. Makers of Minecraft, please go to the nearest lens crafter and get fitted for some eyeglasses and make us a world that looks like a world. Okay?
Yep. Okay, so there you go. I thought that was great. All right.
They're
that's
good
it.
points.
They are, right? I know. Okay, so we're ready to close up, right, guys? Good. Okay, so I want to thank our hosts for taking the time out to chat today. Thank you very much for joining us today, Welshy.
No problem.
Awesome. Okay, and Stryder, thank you very much for joining us today.
It's always an adventure.
It's something. And Ham, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so finally, I want to play this, and thank you, the fans of MODSonair.com and the subscribing members of MODSonline.com for making the show possible. And until next weekend, everybody, go out and have some fun, and see you then. Bye. Thanks for watching this week, and come back next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern when we will broadcast another live show on Livestream. Details for this and all past episodes can be found at MODSonair.com. We welcome your feedback via email at mailbag@MODSonair.com, and please consider subscribing to MODSonline.com to support our show.
The opinions expressed by individuals on this program are not necessarily the opinions of our sponsors, owners, or partners.
Makers of Minecraft, please go to the nearest lens crafter and get fitted for some eyeglasses and make us a world that looks like a world. Okay?
Yay!
How come they don't have a high-def version of Minecraft?
Because that's just real life, isn't it?
Minecraft 3D.